3, 2, 1.
Yay!
We did it!
Yay!
That's always exciting. It's a fun moment.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, Boots. It's
Good afternoon,
a reasonable time of 3:31 p.m. on February the 19th, and that is Pacific time.
There you go. Yeah, say no early morning starts today.
No, that was the worst thing I ever experienced, and I have been hospitalized for over a week before. And I gotta say, that wasn't fun. Yeah. So I'm glad to be back with you in the afternoons, like we belong. And
yeah. Are you more of a night owl?
When it comes, it just depends. I guess right now I'm definitely in a night owl phase.
Okay.
But I don't think there's ever a time where I'm like wanting to give morning presentations. So
that's fair. It's my public speaking class that I took in college. That was an 8 a.m.
That's tough.
That was a tough one.
Yeah. That's too early. Yeah, as mentioned, I'm home on day 8 of the COVID-19 virus. It's been pretty great.
I'm glad you've had a positive experience with COVID-19.
I'm just kidding. I'm tired of it. But I'm glad to be here sitting with you where I can't give you germs.
Yeah, that's
no matter
nice.
How much I've tried. By the way, have you checked the mail today?
Thankfully, no post on Sundays.
Shit. Well, what have you got in the bag for us?
Well, what we got in the bag today is I think a pretty interesting one. I'm pretty excited for this one. We're talking mountain lions.
Ooh,
I know, our first predatory species. So get excited.
I am.
Yeah, so Tom, what do you know about mountain lions?
Mountain lions. Okay. Mountain lions, I think they're very cool. I know they're cats. They're big cats. I know they're very sneaky. They're very sneaky little hunters. And I know when they kill things, they like to separate the top vertebrae of the spine. So they just... and they're scattered over the western United States, and for the most part have been eliminated from the east. They're carnivores. I think that's a bunch of things I know about them. I feel like, yeah.
So yeah, the mountain lion, pretty cool species, pretty like integral in North America. So mountain lions, otherwise known in their scientific name, Felis concolor. Reason we gotta say that because there are a million different names for the mountain lions.
That's true.
And we say mountain lions, but there's mountain lions, cougars, pumas, just plenty of different things that people know them by, but they're all the same species, or people think they're the same species.
Oh, so there must be a huge population of them in Orange County here in California.
Yeah, are there a lot of like cougar hunters you've seen on the prowl?
Yeah, it's usually they wear too much makeup. There's an air of desperation, and but they're just living their best life off their dead husband's money, like we all dream of. we all. I wish, man. But no, so you were pretty right. With the silent stalking and the carnivores being real sneaky with it, trying to get whatever prey they can. They tend to focus on animals either around their size or maybe even smaller than that. Because typical mountain lion weighs around 180 pounds. It's like, and can range from about 6 foot to 8 foot nose to tail. Wow.
So fairly large compared to your typical house cat.
Sure.
Yeah. I say, unless I don't know what kind of house cats you've had in the past. Don't want to assume. That's crazy. My neighbor had a tiger at one point.
Really?
That shit was wild. No.
Did you get to see the tiger? Oh. I mean, you never know.
No. Well, there was a guy in the dorms at college here who had a baby alligator.
That's crazy. Did you see the alligator?
Yeah. I saw it on Snapchat a bunch.
Sure.
Sometimes it's just best to leave those things on Snapchat.
Yeah, he kept it in the bath. He would just put it in the bathtub in the dorm hall.
Uh-huh.
And then just chill out with it.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
And how long did that last?
I think his freshman year. He said, I had worked with him on a project, actually. It was very interesting. And he was like, yeah, it's just people from Oklahoma tend to take care of alligators. I'm like,
what do you mean take care of alligators? Like, are there alligators in Oklahoma that need taken care of?
I have no idea. I've never been.
I think you just want to pet alligator and you're trying to swing it a certain way.
Yeah, I say you don't have to justify owning alligators to me.
I mean, you kind of do. It just might not work. Have you ever seen a mountain lion in the wild?
I think I have. Pretty recently, actually.
Do tell.
Okay, yeah. So we were driving to Walmart.
As one does.
As one does. It's at the very edge of town here in Laramie. So the Walmart's pretty far out. There's a lot of kind of open space then. You start losing some of the developmental side of Laramie, and you start getting into the more just public land side of things. And we were driving late at night just to go pick up, I think, some groceries that we needed for making dinner that night. And it was pretty dark outside, which is why I say I might have seen one. We don't know, but we're driving, starting getting to turn lane, slowing down a bit. And we thought it was like a dog because it was in the shadows. But the moment it got in the headlights and it kind of like ran because it sprinted across.
Yeah.
We're like, that was a little big for a dog.
Yeah.
Or a coyote, and it didn't look right to be a dog or coyote, so maybe a mountain lion. Yeah, so we probably saw a mountain lion probably a couple months ago.
Cool.
Have you ever seen a mountain lion?
No. I've seen a bobcat, but no mountain
That's pretty cool, though.
Bobcats are nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so mountain lions. You are also correct with the west and elimination for the east, and that's where I kind of want to start in focus today, because it's a pretty historic animal for North America. Mountain lions were found typically from coast to coast. They lived everywhere, and they were a pretty abundant species. But what happened is they've always been territorial. They've always been predatory. So they do hunt, and if things come onto their territory, they either try to get rid of them or try to intimidate them. So what happened was when the colonizers from Europe start coming over to the Americas, and especially when it starts in Florida with the Spanish starting in Florida,
of course.
From what I had read is that they had started putting out this bounty system on mountain lions due to them trying to start putting in cattle, chickens, other livestock. Mountain lions would come and take care of them and, use them as a hunting ground.
Sure.
Spanish didn't like that. So the priests, because, you got to spread, with the spread of Christianity, they came these priests who were kind of the higher heads of these colonization areas within the South. They were saying that these were, against God and should be dealt with
Jesus Christ.
For a price, obviously. Still has to give someone money to kill a mountain lion.
Get out of here.
So that's where the mountain lion forced migration starts happening, is what it's kind of considered. Because mountain lions used to just move wherever they pleased, to and fro, had their grounds, but they typically stayed in their areas when they migrated just to find food sources. They would follow the food. So deer, bison, if they could, like the baby bisons, more out west, birds especially in certain areas, but they kind of fed on everything. So they would just follow their food. What happens is the colonizers start coming over and they start killing mountain lions. And they start killing them a lot. Yeah. And so what happens is they clear out the east coast of mountain lions. Yeah. Pretty much anywhere the 13 colonies was, no more mountain lions. Or they tried to, at least. And then what happens then is westward expansion, our manifest destiny of the Americas starts happening. And you got to beat back the wilderness. And it's very interesting at this point in time because with the settling of the West, as they say, One of the main species that was hunted big time was the common mountain lion. And with this mountain lion, they'd go in, they'd kill it, they'd bring their pelts to government officials and such, and they'd get a lot of money for it. It was kind of lucrative to be like a mountain lion bounty hunter.
Definitely a badass title.
It's a great title.
It's a great title.
For a real shitty thing, honestly.
Exactly. As an East Coaster, I find it tremendously disappointing at our lack of mountain lions.
We have Penn State.
Don't remind me, okay? Like, that's all they left us with, is from Penn State. Oh, my God.
But, yeah, same. So they kind of take them out, and then their numbers start dwindling pretty low. Became a real rare sight to see mountain lions, to just encounter one in the wild and such like that. And to the point where, like, if you had seen a mountain lion, you would be talk of the town. But the more, like, incredible thing was that there was still a lot of negativity, like, attitude-wise, towards mountain lions. They still had... The people who were settling down the West still, like, looked at them kind of as, like, a pest species, or, like, a species who was dangerous, and you had to kill them to get rid of them. What happens is that bounty hunter mentality, where you kill them and show their pelts, that stayed up for a long time in the United States of America, up until around the 1920s, honestly. And they would put it in front page news, like, if a park ranger had ran over a mountain lion on accident with their new car, that's making headlines.
Yeah.
And they get the money for killing the mountain lion, and their picture in the paper. So it was just like, yeah. And it's just this weird phenomena where everyone was just like, kill the mountain lion. It's a great thing. Awesome.
Don't know what to do with your day? Kill a mountain lion. Head out there, grab the revolver, come back with a little mountain lion, pour you a cup of coffee.
Exactly. That's a good day back in there. Back then.
Back in that day.
Yeah, back then.
Back in the day. Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
But the problem with mountain lions, and the reason they didn't know their numbers a ton back then, was due to them being so sneaky.
Yeah.
So it's never really estimated how low their population got, but it was definitely lower than around 5,000 probably. From a coast-to-coast, like, mountain lion thing, due to the difficulty of tracking mountain lions before radio technology, it became pretty low. And you couldn't find them anywhere. But nowadays their population has increased through conservation efforts, the elimination of a bounty hunting system for, killing as many mountain lions as you can, getting as much money as you possibly can. It's pretty rare to even get a hunting license for a mountain lion now.
Wow.
And you have to, like, win a lottery pretty much to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And their population has gone up to what's estimated around 30,000 species, or 30,000 mountain lions currently residing in 17 western United States. They still have not gone back east.
Allegedly.
And that's a big thing.
I have two accounts that I'd like to...
I want to hear.
Okay, well, first my Aunt Marie, they have a farm in upstate New York, a dairy farm.
Okay.
Great Aunt Marie. She's like in her 70s or whatever. And she just says she claims to have seen a mountain lion walk across the yard. I said, well, maybe it was a bobcat. She said, that was not a bobcat. And where they are in upstate New York, at one point, my cousin, she's kind of like my aunt, because she's like, because we're like Italian and shit. And, well, she's a vet tech, and one day somebody brought in a wolf that got hit by a car. And there's no wolves in New York, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
That wolf got out of someone's private collection.
Yeah.
That was the issue. Okay, the other one is from a mutual friend of ours. Yeah, the wonderfully beautiful and talented Nate Rose.
We love Nate.
We love Nate. Nate was doing some backpacking in the Black Forest in Northwest PA. Yeah, in Pennsylvania, it's a densely wooded state, especially once you get out of Philadelphia and you get to the middle. And that quarter is really nice because it's in a dark zone. So the stars are really cool. Not a lot of people there. Nice spot. Just another fun fact, they also have elk herds in Northwest PA, which is, I find, very fascinating.
That's awesome. I actually didn't know that.
I know. I got to go back to PA and see the Pennsylvania elk. But anyway, so he was on, what loop? I think it was just the Black Forest loop. So like a 50-mile trail. And some animal was bothering him. Well, first he walks in and there's hunters like walking out and they're like, watch out. There's a black panther in there. And they were not talking about, the radical liberation.
Okay. Were they talking possibly about the smash hit Marvel movies?
A DVD copy right on the trailhead. Just friggin' sitting there, Boots.
Kevin Feige was just handing them out to everybody.
Anyway. And then he said that evening something like rather large was bothering him like all night. But due to the circumstances being very scary, he never poked his head out to look. But he said it was a very nerve-wracking experience, and he says it felt like a mountain lion would add up based on what everything going on. So,
okay,
I don't know. Well, I'm curious. There's
and that's like
out there.
That's a pretty common thing actually when talking mountain lions is they have a hard time finding them out east,
Right.
probably due to the super small population.
Right.
That they either got wiped out of certain states and moved to west, or they just hid super well, and it's been hard to capture footage, pictures. You have a lot of those kind of personal stories where people say they've seen them, but
there's
it's
like
hard.
Facebook groups dedicated to East Coast mountain lions.
That's pretty crazy. Are you part of any?
If I'm not, I don't know why.
Yeah, I'd love to see the discussions.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I don't know.
But there is also some merit to that kind of idea of that these mountain lions might be thinking about moving back east now with the population sizes that they're at. Mm-hmm. Because what's interesting about mountain lions and what I found while doing a lot of this research is a lot of the times we talk about animals as just that. They're animals. We think of the last 2 episodes we've done with geese and deer. We've had some interesting stories about deer. But for some reason, I think it's the interest in it being a predatory species, it gets a little bit anthropomorphized where, just people kind of give it more human qualities when they think of the mountain lion. Mm-hmm. Or they just find them so interesting. I mean, they give them nicknames. They give them just so many different things, especially with unique situations. Mm-hmm. And I brought a couple unique mountain lion stories today because while researching this, I found out some pretty cool ones.
All right.
We were discussing national parks before we started recording.
True story.
And we were
talking a podcast called the Pre-Podcast Conversations.
Oof, that'd be a great podcast.
Yeah, we'd make so many friggin' podcasts. You kidding me?
We just got to get a podcast empire going.
Podcast empire.
But one of the national parks you had brought up was the Black Hills.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I didn't say that.
You didn't say it. No, now it's
but
allegedly.
I said something really close.
You allegedly. The Badlands.
I said the Badlands,
That's
which are near the Black Hills.
Black Hills, yes. Well, so there is a mountain lion population within the Badlands and Black Hills of South Dakota.
Okay, I feel like I saw one in the Badlands once. Now that you said that. Because I saw this big-ass cat, and I'm like, because I feel like bobcats have short tails, right?
Yeah.
And they're like poofier.
Yes.
I feel like I think I saw a little mountain lion, but it wasn't it wasn't big. But it was not a house cat because the tail was so long.
You probably saw You probably saw a cub.
But yeah. Yeah, it was like a very long interaction. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and I was walking back to my tent in a very populated campsite, which it would be weird to have a cat there anytime, any cat. And I saw this cat, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to follow this cat. And it just like hid under something, and I looked at it. So I'm going on the record saying I've seen a mountain lion.
There you go. Now you've seen one. Now you'll have to put that in the Facebook groups you'll join here after your stuff recording.
Well, I mean, is it really pertinent but that's in the Badlands.
It's kind of east, depending on frame of reference.
I mean, yeah, that's true. East of California. Fuck
yep,
it.
Exactly. But there's a pretty incredible journey that happens there between the mountain lions in South Dakota, because they do move all around the state. And so one of the professors at South Dakota University wanted to do a study with the telemetry collars. You familiar with these collars?
Kind of. I'm not really familiar with the collar, but I am familiar with radio collars.
Yeah, so they put on the collars. They send out a signal every once in a while. And then they track them down. They have these like antenna guns that they have to like scan the area with, and once they kind of get a ping, and then they'll start following tracks, and they'll go find them.
That sounds so fun.
It's a blast. I've actually been fortunate enough to do it a little bit. Yeah, it was a good time.
What were you tracking?
So we were more just playing around with the telemetry collars. So we were tracking
Fair
beanie
enough.
babies.
As one does.
Yeah.
But you found them.
We did find them. It took us a hot second to find some of these damn beanie babies.
I mean, I bet some of them are real good hiders.
They are real good hires. I'm surprised they put them out in the woods like that. They're going to be worth a lot of money one day.
I'm banking on it.
Do you have a large beanie baby collection?
I feel like not anymore, but I feel like collectively, probably like we're all like figured our beanie babies would really be worth something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're all just like, damn, I don't think this one's happening.
No, I think we missed the rush on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Big Beanie Baby manipulating us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that damn big beanie baby.
Big Beanie Baby.
But what these collars do, especially for the ones that are for these bigger animals, not beanie babies, is they hook them around the neck, and then they'll send out a signal every once in a while, and then they can track. They've gone from this part of South Dakota to this part of South Dakota, and they'll just track their patterns, and then they'll see if they died, or maybe the collar has fallen off. They'll see that it hasn't moved, and then they'll go retrieve it. Or if someone like shoots one of the deer or something like that, and they have a collar, it's not like illegal or anything, but then you just like, you see the collar, it has a number on it that says like, hey, if you shot this or hit this animal with your car, please call this number, and it'll take you there. But the specific one I want to talk to you today about is called the Red Rocks cat. Because, made for Walkin Podcast, we're going to talk about a long journey here real quick.
It's like what we do.
It's what we do. So this cat is out in South Dakota, moving typically back and forth between Badlands, Black Hills, just in the forested areas of South Dakota. Starts moving south a little bit to the southern border of South Dakota. And then they keep a little track of it, but the radio collar hasn't sent out its signal yet to kind of ping where this cat's been in a while, as it does with the normal like radio schedule it has. But the interesting thing that happens is this cat ends up getting hit by a train.
Oh. Yeah,
unfortunately, just gets hit by a train after a while. Do you want to take a guess real quick? Where is the Red Rocks cat found?
In the front of the train.
Bits and pieces of it are.
Yeah.
What state do you think it ended up in?
North Dakota.
It ends up in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Which is very far for a mountain lion.
Well, yeah.
It is
A fraction of the cat ended up in Oklahoma.
Fraction of the cat.
I'm guessing the radio collar ended up in Oklahoma.
Yep, because it ended up 80 miles outside of Oklahoma City.
And the scientists were just like, what?
Yeah, because they're like, that's 700 miles. That's way too far for a mountain lion to be traveling. Like,
yeah.
Where the hell did this come from?
Yeah.
And so now they're trying to figure out, are mountain lions trying to migrate farther away due to these higher population densities and
by train
territories? Hopping? Well, no, it got hit in the train right there and died.
I'm just saying it would probably be faster if they could train hop.
I think a lot of animals would utilize train hopping.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Little vagabond cats.
Yeah, that'd be a great little movie. Like, Pixar needs to pick that up.
Yo, right? I'm like seeing it.
You gotta visualize. You know?
Wow.
All right, we're gonna write that down. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's write this down so that way they can't steal it from us.
Yeah, write it down now.
Yeah.
Wild. So okay, that's crazy. I mean, I guess they were like disappointed once they found the cat on the front of the train.
Yeah, because they probably wanted to take studies of it to see if it had any like brain issues or anything that caused it to like take a little hike 700 miles down.
Yeah, it had some brain issues.
Yeah, because it was unheard of for like modern migration studies. The cat moving this far.
Right.
And so now this professor is definitely, and I think there's going to be more. There's what I read in that article was saying that there's going to be more studies put into the ideas of mountain lions doing longer migrations. Cause
that's interesting.
Yeah, because it's a little unknown on their migration patterns due to just, people showed up and they just started kind of killing them.
It's kind of what people do when they see lions. They're like, we should just stabby like we used to.
Yeah, well, and then when I was reading that too, I was thinking about Native Americans and their interactions with the species. It's hard for them to also kind of pinpoint the migration paths of it because it was a coast to coast animal.
Right.
That a lot of tribes had mountain lions within their vicinities. Mm-hmm. And so, with certain tribes, such as like with different species, they can tell there's a migration, such as with like deer, bison, or stuff like that. But when it's all over
barely migrate.
Mm-hmm. And so it's hard for they are pretty much everywhere. And that was the same thing that happened with the mountain lion.
Right.
And so there's just no true historical record of them. It's hard to tell because we never studied it or cared to take a look at it.
Right.
And so the red rock cat does probably one of the largest recorded mountain lion migrations ever seen in the United States.
That's cool.
It's a really cool one. And that kind of brings me to my next super special cat.
Oh. Am I your super special cat?
Oh. No, this one's P22.
Oh, rest in peace, King.
Rest in peace, King. Are you familiar with P22?
I am familiar with P22.
Well, tell me what you know about P22. I'm excited.
All right, I feel like I might hijack your story here. But,
that's fine. I like it.
Okay, so P22, mountain lion living up in the Hollywood sign, right? That whole in the Hollywood sign foothills. And, kind of a cool thing, right? You got like this bustin' city. People, they're just making movies and just living their rich lives. And then there's this mountain, there's mountain lions, and specifically P22 who would come down from the hills and visit people, walk around and be like, oh shit, there's a mountain lion. I'm now reminded of where we live. Mm-hmm. And I believe over the years, P22 was getting a little old. Maybe he got hit by a car and was looking for some smaller prey. So P22 started eating dogs, maybe cats, but I kind of remember hearing dogs, which is a problem because like eating dogs is the precipice of eating kids pretty much. It's kind of a natural order. And I think at a certain point, P22 tried to eat a dog right off a leash. Someone was walking their dog and P22 said, hey, what a snack. They already caught it for me. And then I believe P22 was captured. They found out P22 was all beat up, and they euthanized P22 recently, a couple months ago.
Yeah, that is the story of P22.
That's the story. Yeah.
But P22, has a pretty significant. He's one of the most famous
Right.
mountain lions in the country.
Yeah. Big picture of P-22 National Geographic last year.
Mm-hmm. Really cool pictures. I like the one where you can see like the Hollywood sign in the background, and he's just prowling. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
And he did become like a local legend, as you said. Like people just see him and they're like, that's P-22.
That's our boy.
That's the guy. Put the dog inside, please.
Please put the dog inside. And where are the kids?
Where are the kids?
I need you to look at me right now and tell me you know where the kids are. Look at me. Tell me you know. Yeah, that was just a dramatic reenactment. One of the many benefits of tuning into this podcast is definitely dramatic reenactments.
And you also get to learn about the great nicknames given to mountain lions, because P-22 actually has its own special nickname.
Oh.
So NPR, our National Public Radio.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be nicknamed NPR.
Has, in their article, has nicknamed P-22 the so-called Brad Pitt of mountain lions.
He was handsome.
Was a handsome cat.
A handsome cat.
But yeah, all those stories are true. It's an interesting story with P-22 due to we went from one of the largest migrations ever recorded. P-22 is a really well-documented cat just due to its notoriety. Yeah. People have known about it. It had one of the smallest migratory, like, not migratory, but just like communal paths that it would take through the Hollywood Hills to the city.
Yeah.
And that's just where it hung out. And it was about 50 miles, give or take, is the directed like range of P-22. One of the interesting things about P-22, it would be crossing highways, two of the busiest highways in California, if not the country.
And those are busy highways.
Yeah, and so a couple of mountain lions had been killed already on those highways. They said about 20 had been struck by vehicles and killed, and P-22, being it well photographed, well documented and stuff, people started paying attention to this animal because it also kind of had a personality, they determined.
Sure.
With the idea of anthropomorphizing animals. But it gets the public to care a little bit. And it's an interesting thing that happens. P-22 is kind of given the credit for one of the first animal crossings on highways within California. Yeah. So, do you know about these animal crossings over highways?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just basically, think of an overpass, but instead of cars, only for animals.
That's awesome.
It's really cool, and they do work. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They're very effective, and people had seen P-22. They wanted to make sure that this mountain lion in particular didn't get hit because they knew it was crossing the highway. Used its photograph a lot when lobbying and pushing the legislation to build this kind of infrastructure. And P-22 is accredited with a little bit of the push for wildlife crossings for migratory animals, especially within these busy areas. And they've honestly become more popular all over the country where there are just a ton of like animal and vehicle collisions.
Wild.
It is.
P-22.
Yeah, so it's cool to see, but it's an interesting thing to see too, that like certain animals, when given names and given personalities, so like so-called personalities, start to garner more public interest and kind of make people look more into certain species.
Yeah. Speaking of dope mountain lion pictures, did you see that recent cool picture of a mountain lion and her cub feeding on a mountain goat?
Oh, okay, yes. And like, is the cat just looking straight at the camera?
Yeah, with the kitten is just like got its face in its face.
All right, for our audio listeners out here, I'm gonna describe this picture for you.
Yeah, describe it.
All right, so I was at the scene. It's a snowy, dark night. Snow's all over the ground, rocks exposed. What you see is a mountain goat head, and that's the only piece left of it.
Well, its guts are spilled.
Yeah, there are there are plotches of red,
plotches of red. Like, you can tell there's a pelt there that's been painted with red as it dissolves into the winter snow, only to become soil again in the spring.
Mm. And the mountain lion cub spotted, looking rather cute, but small.
So cute. Tiny.
Is just going face first into like the neck, right below like the head of this goat, just going to town.
Yeah. I wonder if it's trying the head on, like, for Halloween. Maybe Halloween's coming up, and it's like,
it would be a good Halloween costume. And as we were talking about the mom, it appears that the mom is standing right there, just posing very, very nicely for the camera.
Yeah. She looks great.
Yeah, no, she does.
An effective cougar.
Effective cougar, like post cub, like wow, get it, girl.
How did she get that body back? Because I am just woo.
Oh, this is a crazy picture. So they had not been documented eating mountain goat carcass before?
I believe that's the case. It was not known if they hunted mountain goats.
That's
proven, hadn't been seen.
Crazy, because this picture shows that they got it good.
They got it good. Yeah, they're like, it's making me hungry.
Ooh, yeah.
Just seeing that kitten just nomming. Like, oof.
What make you hungry for? What you craving?
Dude, I'm just like so bored of the food in my house right now. Like, I'm trying to minimize my trips to the grocery store. But I think I'm just gonna like make bacon, eggs, and steak.
Ooh, that sounds
just go
good.
for it. Like, because if I just have steak, I'm gonna die of boredom. But if I add like bacon and eggs into the equation, then I'll probably be like, no, this is pretty good. This is special.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, last night I bought sushi and it was so expensive, and it was all right, but it's just like I'm done here.
Did you lose your taste with COVID?
It felt like for the first couple days, definitely. Like I remember, like hot sauce was like, what? It just tasted too salty, which was crazy. But I think it's like I don't think I've like lost the appeal of any flavors, which is good. I've heard that happen, which seems like a nightmare.
Yeah, that's I knew one guy. Being from kind of Pennsylvania, are you familiar with cheerwine at all?
No.
Okay, so it's pretty like it's a soda from the South, seeing like Southern East Coast area. It's like a pretty famous soda.
Okay.
It is like water down there for people. People are all in on cheerwine. I've had it. It's pretty good, but it's a big deal down south.
Okay.
He was a Southern guy, loved his cheerwine, big cheerwine fan.
Yeah.
He got COVID.
No.
His taste got away.
No.
It comes back, and that altered thing happens. He can't drink cheerwine anymore.
That's horrible.
He's like sad about it. He's like, I can't drink it. It makes me like gag now. I think it tastes gross.
I mean, it probably saved him for like diabetes, but like
his diabetes and cavities are thing of the past.
Thing of the past. God bless COVID for that, I suppose.
But
yeah, no,
it's always a wild thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I made sure to always eat a lot of food that I liked to make sure, and like I'd say we're pretty good. Pretty good.
That's good. Yeah, I don't know. I can never imagine living without taste.
Oh, I don't want to think about it.
My dad does.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hasn't had taste since he was in high school.
Whoa, from what?
He was in a pretty bad car accident, and he like smashed his, so he can't smell and he can't taste anymore.
Wow.
So how he eats is he always tells me, he's like, well, first I always ask him, how'd you like the food? And then he looks at me, he's like, how the fuck would I know? I can't taste. So I'm like, all right, good point, Dad.
Good point, Dad. Checkmate. Well, what'd you think of the texture?
Yeah. Did it feel good in your mouth?
Did it feel good in your mouth?
Yeah, that's the kind of question you ask your father on a Sunday afternoon.
Hey, man, I don't want to know, okay?
No, he always just tells me he remembers what food tastes like. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, I remember what bread tastes like, so that was bread.
That was bread.
And so he's like, all right, yeah, that's fair. That's a good way to do it.
Does he eat like super healthy? Because like, who cares?
Not really.
Yeah, fair enough. It'd be a lot of work.
Yeah, he likes his eggs and bacon still.
Oh.
I think he still eats the foods he liked when he was there, but yeah. I mean, he'll eat some weird stuff that I'm like, you shouldn't eat that. Like
what's the weird? Wait,
what's the weirdest thing he eats? I mean,
Sure.
shit. I mean, I've seen him drink spoiled milk without noticing it was spoiled.
Yeah. Well, someone's got to do it. What's
Yeah.
the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
That I've ever eaten? I feel like I don't eat a ton of weird foods.
You've never just like bitten the head off a living frog that you found?
Well, okay, actually, no, that's not true. I guess I do have some weird ones. Not living in the sense of an animal sense. I've done a couple of these nature walks with a guy who lives down in Colorado.
Sure.
He's an edible plant expert.
Sick.
Yeah, his name's Cattail Bob.
Cattail Bob.
Cattail Bob, love him. Been on a couple walks with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, we'll just like stop and then he'll just like pick up like a random like plant. He's like, all right, here you go. Try that. So I was like, I put my life in that man's hands sometimes, just trusting that he wouldn't like lead me astray. But
Sometimes that's what you got to do.
He does, but he gave me a great tip. It's a great fact, and I still do it now every once in a while.
What's that?
Flowers
Yeah.
tend to be really spicy.
Ooh.
So sometimes if I'm bored, I'll just
You're
eat a
just
flower.
sitting on the couch and you're like, I gotta do something today. Find a nice
Not normally
daffodil.
when I'm out. Yeah, see, go outside, pick a tulip.
Get out of my garden!
Say the church next door. It's like, all right, the crazy man next door is just eating flowers again.
We've been praying for him, but he won't stop. He's out of control.
But yeah, what's the weirdest food you got? I feel like you got some weird ones for some reason. Just have that expectation.
Just because I'm a friggin' weirdo.
Yeah.
I respect that. I would say probably pig brain. That was,
Ooh.
yeah. I felt
What's
like
the
that
story there?
I was at a hot pot with some friends, and I think it was just like a buffet situation, and they had pig brain, and it was like, well, we're not gonna not.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It was like actually creamy, kind of like scrambled eggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good taste. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was like brain. Wow. Yeah,
Would you do it again?
I don't feel like I need to seek out brain, but I feel like knowing that if I was being served brain and I wanted to like be polite, I could probably be like, well, it was pretty fine last time. I'll eat some brain.
Okay, that'll be good.
Yeah.
Nice. So mountain lions.
What's this podcast called again? You are what you eat? I don't know.
Oh yeah. So last thing, one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about, especially with mountain lions, is safety.
Yeah.
I think it's important for our listeners and people watching at home to kind of know what to do when you do see it, like encounter a mountain lion, not from far away, but pretty up close.
Yeah. When you know you got a problem.
Yeah, when you know you got a problem. I'll have a story at the end of this that I also found that's a little closer to home too for me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different steps you can take to be safe with a mountain lion. And when a mountain lion does approach you and it's a dangerous situation, one of the things you want to do is you want to hold your ground. So you want to like not run away when you see it. Don't just Scooby-Doo and just leave the dust cloud.
Why can't we just run away from these predators?
So that gives chase. The mountain lion will want to pursue at that point. And
think about the kitty with a toy. What happens when you pull the toy away fast from the kitty? The kitty lunges at toy.
Yes, and you are the toy for a mountain lion.
You are the toy.
So yeah, you have to hold your ground. So brace up and like kind of sit there, plant your feet, and you want to just back away slowly. So yeah, just kind of take a few steps back. But while you're doing that, you got to maintain eye contact with the mountain lion.
Right. So you wanna stare down that mountain lion.
You want to stare it down to show you're not intimidated by the mountain lion, because again, you show that little bit, or like you're a scared animal or so. That can give the mountain lion. That'll give like a sense that the mountain lion can attack you. If it sees another scared big animal, in 2-to-1, what's happening is you're probably near something that the mountain lion doesn't want you to be near. So
if it hasn't jumped on your back yet, it's probably just like protecting.
It's defending. Yeah, it's defending territory or cubs or something. It really doesn't want to attack you.
Right.
But if it sees a scared animal, it will attack because scared animals can be dangerous animals.
Right.
And so you want to make eye contact with the mountain lion, stare it down, don't blink. Got to win the staring contest.
They're so freaking petty.
They are. Like, the moment you blink, they're like, you lost.
Time to die.
Time to get you. You got to be big, too. So that whole thing, put your hands up in the air, puff out a little bit, grab a back. If you have a backpack, if you're like backpacking or something, like kind of like wave it around. Just make yourself seem a lot larger than you are, actually. Just because that's intimidation towards the mountain lion. If they're going to intimidate you, you got to do it right back at them. Can't let them win. Be petty with them.
Yeah. Would you recommend yelling?
Yelling definitely works. Just part of that intimidation practice. So yelling, just saying, don't throw things. Don't like.
I thought throwing a rock is reasonable.
Really?
I don't know. I could be wrong, but I felt like the thing I heard with rocks is like, well, don't spend too much time crouching down because that could be the time where you die. Mm-hmm. But maybe that's more so if it's more of an attack situation.
I think that's more of the attack.
Yeah. There's a lot of... Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, there's a lot of like videos online where people might think that the mountain lion's attacking. Mm-hmm. Like, I think maybe like a year, maybe 2 years ago or something. There's like a 6 or 7 minute video where this mountain lion is like chasing off this guy who is trail running. Mm-hmm. And it's a long video. This lion just like, you know, kind of making noise and lunging at this person. But that was probably just because, it got too close to cubs.
Yeah, it was at the one where he's like on the trail and the mountain lion keeps like batting both hands down on the ground. Yeah, I've seen that video. That's a crazy video.
That's scary stuff.
Yeah, and the guy, but he does a lot of the things, like he keeps the eye contact, I think.
Yeah, hard to tell.
Hard to tell. He was filming it.
You could have filmed yourself so we could have known and judged
it's that way I could judge him on his safety techniques.
Yeah, jeez.
But he does do the yelling. It seemed like he had made himself big, and he did the backing away slowly.
Yeah.
If you have any small animals with you or children, pick them up.
Yeah.
Don't let them be on the ground at that point.
Yeah.
Just in case, like, it makes you seem bigger, but also it keeps another like loose body off the mountain lions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
don't want Timmy to get slashed by a mountain lion.
I know. I'm thinking of this story now from the Tooth and Claw podcast. I don't know if you heard the episode where
I don't know if I heard this one.
It's pretty sad. Where I think there was like a family, like a mom and her kids horseback riding. And a mountain lion, jumps out of nowhere, knocks a kid off the horse, and mama jumps off the horse and fights the mountain lion for like an hour, and then once she hears her kids are safe, she dies.
No,
yeah,
that's tragic.
It's super sad, but like crazy. She just wrestles this mountain lion. Yeah, they can be scary.
They can, and if they do end up doing the whole attack thing where it is getting you, that's the time for rocks, that's the time for sticks. You got to become dangerous then. You have to be the danger.
Right, because once they get, separate that spinal column, that's all she wrote.
Yeah, and they will go for the neck first.
Yeah.
And they have claws and teeth. Yeah, that's why sometimes I think mountain lions are like scarier than like a coyote. Or something.
Of course mountain lions are scarier than a coyote.
Wolf even though?
I mean, for me, wolves like just haven't been that pertinent of something I've ever worried about. Mm-hmm. But I've definitely actively worried about a mountain lion that may or may not have been there.
That's I think the scariest thing about mountain lions. You just don't know until they want you to know that they're around. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hear bear spray is effective against them.
I can imagine. I think bear spray is pretty effective on anything.
It's a good thing to have. I feel like if you're not hiking with bear spray and there's the predators around, it seems like a lack of due diligence.
Well, not even predators. So here at the University of Wyoming, for the degree I was in, there's a like kind of a camping trip associated with 2 of the classes that you can take. Super fun, super awesome. But they have some guides, obviously, and they're student guides though. And a very funny story was the second year I had gone. One of the groups was out hiking, and everyone always had, one person had the bear spray on them, and it was a moose.
Oh yeah.
and Mama Moose started
Yeah.
puffing and charging.
Yeah.
And so he had to grab his bear spray, and he was about ready to hit him, but then at the very last minute, like as it's like huffing, puffing, like about ready to start maybe making its move, it just turned around and like ran away.
That's good.
So bear spray can be used for anything. If you're hiking, it is worthwhile to have bear spray, especially if you're going to be in country that has predatory species like mountain lions, bears, moose, apparently.
Yeah, I've never heard of the moose thing. But I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Moose are big and scary.
They're really scary, and when the size of them is always understated until you see it.
I mean, they're just so big. Lovely creatures, incredible,
Lovely,
magic.
Yeah, have to do an episode on them.
Oh yeah,
we'll do an episode on them.
They're everywhere, moose. Coast to coast.
They're coast to coast kind of species.
I remember I was hiking in Vermont on the Long Trail, and there was this one day where it just felt like all we did was hike on moose shit. It was just droppings everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily, and I guess, I don't know if this was for the mud or for the poop, but there was a lot of wooden boards to hike on that section, which was good. But there is so much moose droppings. It was insane. So,
yeah, we'll definitely do. We'll definitely have to go on.
We're doing moose.
We're deep diving moose. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of like the safety things. One of the stories that I was going to talk about too, because it was an interesting one. It happened not too long ago, not too far from where I was. So Fort Collins, Colorado. It's only like a 45-minute drive.
Right.
And what is back in 2019, when the story first broke out, everyone kind of lost their minds. So a trail runner, right before, man, it was like just the year prior. A Colorado trail runner was running.
Yeah.
He had just moved from Arkansas about 5 years prior and just started running for like a year. So he was pretty fresh into running outside.
Yeah.
And his statement says that he's running. He doesn't have his headphones in because he liked kind of the quiet. But he hears something behind him. And he kind of knew it was something dangerous by the noises he was hearing. He turns around. He sees a mountain lion right behind him, right within 10 feet, he says. His heart drops, according to his personal account, and he's like, I have to figure out what to do. Before he has a chance to start doing all the necessary steps that we had talked about earlier by being big, being like loud, backing away slowly, it jumps at him immediately. It's pretty scary when you think about that. Like just a cat coming out of nowhere. He's by himself. He doesn't have bear spray. He doesn't have anything to like become dangerous with. So immediately it does the thing. It goes after his neck, front of his neck though. He was facing it, thankfully. So it goes to his front. He blocks it with both his arms. He kind of like throws up both arms to block any sort of things. Gets clawed in the face a little bit. But one of the crazy things that happens with this story is he starts fighting back against the mountain lion. Obviously, he wants to live. Right. His personal account said that his flight or fight had kicked in and there was no option for flight. So he had to do something.
Yeah.
So he starts wrestling with the lion until he's able to, as he said, pin down the lion's back legs with his legs. He tried to stab it with some sticks, like the throat. He picked up a big rock, smashed it against the head of the mountain lion a couple times, which gave him enough time, he said, to eventually get his foot around his neck, stand up, and just bam, right there and then. He unfortunately, and he wasn't super pleased that he had to kill the mountain lion. But yeah, he said it's unfortunate the mountain lion died, but moments before that happened, I would have died. And so he had to do that. And And they looked at the mountain lion, and yeah, he killed a juvenile. It wasn't a cub, but it wasn't a fully grown adult yet.
Oh, I thought it was an old mountain lion.
No, he was a juvenile, according to the reports. So it was a younger one, but they're saying he probably was able to fight it off and kill it due to it not have growing to full size. Right. Just because it was a little lighter, because 180 pounds and 8 feet, that's a lot of mountain lion to fight.
That's a lot of mountain lion. Yeah.
Yeah, to tussle with. And so that's kind of what, like, that last point I made of, like, being dangerous, that if things have gone to a poor state and none of the other steps worked, that's when you got to, like,
fight it, stab it, spray it, shoot it.
Do whatever you have to do to survive. Dear listener, we hope
we
you
would
take
always
that advice.
make that choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point too, of like where a lot of mountain lion attacks against humans is with either juveniles who are learning how to hunt, or older mountain lions who are having trouble hunting, and of course there's an abundance of humans. But I don't think that it's a very appealing meal still, because we're not a deer. We will fight to our death. So make sure you're not an easy meal out there.
Yeah, be dangerous.
Are there anything the humans can do to prevent being in this scenario?
From what I gathered, the National Park Service or National Forest, with the USDA. Let me see. Let me look at my script. It says making noise can sometimes be a useful tool. But a lot of the times, mountain lion, when you're in mountain lion habitat, there's not many preventative measures, because what it is a lot of the times, National Park Service says that the mountain lion does not want to interact with you.
Right.
That's the main thing, is that with people being a larger species, with them being in abundance, creating lots of noise, mostly staying to developed areas. It's sometimes when you get into these more backcountry areas, but even then, they're pretty scared of humans.
Right.
So not too many preventative measures you can take from what I've gathered in research, and such.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, I would add groups. I think that's kind of a good rule against most land-dwelling predators, is being in a group usually helps. And that kind of goes along with making the noise. But yeah, I mean, with most predators, I think they see a group and there's a lot less interest in trying to make that attack. Yeah. And then I believe they're most active at dusk and dawn hunting. So avoiding those times in the backcountry, if you're in that mountain lion area, is a wise choice, especially alone.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah, the trail running thing. In Pennsylvania, I'm a big trail runner, but out here, I'm like,
yeah. Is it different knowing that like you have lots of like bears and mountain lions
there's
around?
There's nothing that's gonna there's nothing. I mean, in the particular part of Pennsylvania where I'm from, of course, like basically Philadelphia. Yeah, there's nothing. You at best maybe a rabid raccoon. Like there's nothing out there. No snakes. I mean, there's a lot to watch out for out here. I mean, between snakes, bears, and lions. And then being alone and running are just like major predatory triggers. So, I don't know, man.
It's a little sketch.
Of course, there's like obviously like a thriving trail running community in the West, especially thinking like in Colorado.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And just lots of places. People like going outside and running. But it's just like, I don't know. There's a lot of accidents waiting to happen. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that was one of the kind of crazier stories I remember from recent history, was that the Fort Collins. Yeah, this episode's been fun. I like
this is
one.
Definitely our best yet.
Yes, I was so excited for this episode.
I can tell. You're doing great.
Well, yeah, so to our listeners, stay safe. Also, don't view mountain lions as a negative species.
No, we should have more.
Yeah, we should have more, and they should be all over the place.
Yeah, I feel like we
they were here first.
They were here first. Diverse species are super important. Learning to live alongside them.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to learn how to live alongside them.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the big part there.
Bigger numbers,
Mm-hmm.
would be cool. I would love some East Coast mountain lions to make hiking the Appalachian Trail just that much scarier.
Yeah, got to keep those AT kids on their toes.
On their toes.
It's
not for the faint of heart.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Well, do you have anything else to add about mountain lions?
More mountain lions. Bring back the East Coast mountain lion.
Mm-hmm.
That's
that way Penn State has an accurate mascot.
Yeah, exactly. Right now they're just lying to America. More
tragic.
No, that's all I have to add.
Well,
super hype on mountain lions right now. I'm just mountain lion high.
Exactly, mountain lion high.
Whew.
Well, alrighty then. This has been the Made for Walkin podcast. I've been Boots.
I have been Tom, and I will continue being him for the foreseeable future.
Perfect. I'm glad to hear it. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.